And we are now live. What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy. You know what it is. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. Time for the SOS to rock. It's your boy Tenzin, 130 the SOS podcast. And man, I gotta say, um, it's been a good week. Shout out to shout out to the Oscars in general, but history was made. Michael B became, I believe, the sixth black male actor to win best actor. So shout out to him. Let me get my notes out. So yes, so far as like black male winners for best actor, it was Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and this year Michael B. Congrats to you. Also, shout out to Ryan Coogler, best original screenplay. I think. Hold on, let me make sure. Let me click on one of these tabs. Let me make sure I'm not bullshitting. Yep, best original screenplay, best writing, best original screenplay. And the only other black person, period, to win that was Jordan Peele for Get Out. Um, but shout out to every you know black Oscar winner, of course. Rep your set, man. Hard work definitely paid off for sure. Michael B's been acting since he was like at least a teenager. The earliest thing I seen him in was The Wire, of course. I want to say he was in Hardball too. But anyway, man, shout out to them guys. But yeah, man, it is crazy too. Like when you look at the Oscars from like a bigger picture kind of thing, you're like, like I said, it was only six, black men who won Best Actor, and only one black woman won Best Actress, which was Holly Berry. Now, there's been other, black Oscar winners, but yeah, it just hadn't been a lot. And but shout out to the ones who won, and also which I am late to the party. I'm just now finding out that the Oscars now kind of have like the same standard as far as like the same standard as the BAFTAs. Cause I remember hearing it was like years ago too. I remember hearing about how the BAFTAs started to require, certain like diversity. Yeah, they had these like diversity requirements. Um, whereas like I believe since I don't know when the BAFTAs did it, but I just found out that the Oscars started doing this since at least 2020, which I didn't know we were doing it this long. I thought it was just introduced. Um, but yeah, let me run over. So at least for the Oscars, right? So I guess now, if you want to be considered for Best Picture, there's some diversity standards you got to meet, which there's four of them, but I think you have to meet two out of the four. So So I'm gonna just go over like the broad, you know, categories. One is, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. Like basically, have a diverse cast, right? Maybe like some diverse like stories, like cover stories that are, excuse me, that are like underrepresented. Words to okay. You gonna keep with the gas, Tenzin. Okay. So yeah, so I'm assuming like underrepresented stories and whatnot. The other standard is creative leadership and project team. Basically, who's behind that camera? Like, is there a diverse squad? That's like in the production team, that's like directing, that's writing, stuff like that. Industry access and opportunities. Basically, hiring as from what I've read, it's like if you hire like a diverse group of like oof a little too close to the mic, like a diverse group of like interns and whatever, like and the fourth is audience development, which let me read into that again. That was an interesting one. Hold on. Audience development. Now, I'm on the actual Oscars.org website, so this is what I'm reading. Basically, to achieve standard D, representation and development, marketing, publicity, distribution. The studio and/or film company has multiple or more than one in-house senior executives or hired consultants belonging to at least two underrepresented groups on their creative and development marketing, publicity, and/or distribution teams. At least one individual must belong to an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Underrepresented groups may include women, racial or ethnic groups, the LGBTQ plus, people with cognitive or physical disabilities. Ooh, words! Holy shit! And and I guess what the fuck is that supposed to mean exactly? Audience development. I guess. Oh, okay. I guess your marketing team and your publicists they got to be, you know, diverse, a diverse group as well. And let's look over some of the other ones. Like I thought that was an interesting one. We're gonna start from C above. Okay, so industry access and opportunities. So as I said, paid apprenticeships and internship opportunities. The film's distribution or financing company has paid apprenticeships or internships that are from the following underrepresented groups: women, racial or ethnics, LGBTQ plus, and people with disabilities and stuff. Major studios and distributors are now required to have substantive ongoing paid apprenticeships, internships, inclusive of underrepresented groups. So, so that means like production development, physical production, post production, music, visual effects, acquisition, business affairs, distribution, marketing. Basically, you got to have training opportunities. Also like crews, right? Like film production. They got to have a diverse crew, which I didn't know that, right? Now, but the main two, like the creative leadership, this is standard B, the creative leadership and project team. At least two of the following creative leadership positions and department heads: casting director, cinematographer, composer, costume designer, basically like leaders in the production. They have to have like a representation of underrepresented groups as well. Same thing, women, racial racial or ethnic groups, the LGBTQ plus, and people with disabilities, shit like that. And obviously, as I said, with standard A, lead or significant supporting actors got to be from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups, which being in America, that shouldn't be hard because I mean we're literally a fucking melting pot. Um, but when I was younger, and I still kind of feel this way, so don't attack me, folks. Do not. But I mean, like I get it. There has to be representation. Representation is important. Diversity is important. I am a huge supporter of those three cursed letters DEI, which honestly now when I start talking about DEI with folks, I actually just say what the words actually are: diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, because you can't demonize that. Shout out to the motherfuckers who can. But I don't know. Like I was always just like, like I'm not complaining that this rule exists, but a part of me feels that maybe this is like a quote unquote chud answer, a chud response, but I don't know. I'm just like, I mean, what if the story doesn't require that, right? But then again, it's like how's it? But then again, like even if the movie itself is like predominantly white or whatever, like that shouldn't stop you from having, people of different backgrounds, behind the scenes. That shouldn't stop you from hiring like, under people from underrepresented groups and like, the what do you call it? Production assistants. Yeah, like that doesn't mean you shouldn't have like production assistants, or that doesn't mean you can't have like, diverse people like, writing the story. You know what I'm saying? Um and now and I remember I was reading something about the BAFTA. Um I forget the name, but there's one person who criticized the BAFTA standards because I believe the BAFTA standards is a little more like wide reaching. But UK and America are a little different. But now somebody said like now some people can just sort of like with these like standards, people can still technically like skirt past racial diversity because like, well, shit, I mean, we can hire women and gay people and people of, with, physical or cognitive disabilities, which, that's still diversity. But, I guess like, it's just like, oh, well, what about the motherfuckers who, but, what about people of different races, right? So, that's going to be very interesting for me to look into now. I definitely want to look more into the BAFTA standards because, like I said, I heard about the BAFTAs first, and like I said, when I was younger, I was just like, so what? If there's not enough black people on your movie, you can't win an award. But it's but it's like now it's like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just because, like I said, even if you can't find like a group of diverse people, like you can still be diverse like behind the scenes. And and it's kind of fucked up that it's to the point where I guess diversity kind of has to be, well, not necessarily forced. I mean, you can still make your movie with your production crew however you want, but it just won't get no best picture nomination, which the Oscars as an organization is free to do that, because a lot of people, they like to scream, freedom of speech, but it's like that only applies to the government. That doesn't apply to, businesses. That doesn't apply to, you know, these organizations. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, sure. You can make your like you can make like a Klan movie or whatever, like a pro Klan movie or whatever. Like nothing's gonna stop you from that, but you're most likely not going to get funding for it from any major studio, if any production company at all. And yeah, the Oscars is definitely. I mean, it probably won't even be. It won't. It probably won't even be an afterthought to the people in the Oscars. So yeah, but anyway, man, shout out to um, you know, as Issa Rae said, we're just rooting for everybody black. But I mean, but shout out to everybody that works their ass off in this field and gets the recognition that they deserve. But I also want to touch on just other like black um winners. We got the Academy Awards for best animated film. you know um Kobe Bryant, peace be upon him, won in 2017 for Dear Basketball, and Matthew A. Cherry and Karen Rupert Tolliver, uh, 2019. They won for Hair Love, which was, I haven't seen either of those films, but I heard that they were pretty dope. And best production design went to Hannah Beachler for Black Panther. She was nominated for Sinners, didn't get it. Um, but that's okay. I mean, shit, she at least won for Black Panther. And shout out to, hold on now, let me make sure I'm reading this right. Hold on. before I start naming folks and y'all be like, "Hey, that's not a black person." I mean, listen, I'm making sure that I'm reading the correct article. Oh my gosh, this is the way they formatted this. It is so long. Hold on. Yep. Okay. List of Black Academy Award winners and nominees. All right. But yeah, man. But let's go back to the beginning. Best actor in leading role. Like I said, the first black actor, the first best actor in a leading role ever. You know, Sidney Poitier. But we can't forget about Hattie McDaniel, the first black person ever to win an Academy Award, and that was in 1940 for Gone with the Wind. And shout out to her, man. You know, she broke that color barrier. You know, and you know what? And and Denzel. You know, he is a winner for Training Day, but he was also nominated for Malcolm X. You know, there it is. And, of course, Jamie Foxx, like I said, won Best Actor for Ray Charles. Forrest Whitaker for The Last King of Scotland, playing the role of Idi Amin. I believe that movie I can only watch once because that straight scarred me for life. Because I never, listen, when I saw that image of Carrie Hilson, okay, with her arms where her legs should be and her legs where her arms should be, I was like, oh no. White man, get the hell out of there now. but uh, but yeah, man, Will Smith, won Best Actor for King Richard, playing Richard Williams, the father of the Williams sisters. And of course, Michael B for Sinners. Shout out to him and Ryan. And let's and um the one black woman to win Best Actress, Holly Berry, for her role in Monsters Ball, which honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna have to watch Monsters Ball all the way through again. I watched it all the way through like one time, and I was just like, the only thing I got out of this movie was, Letitia is the most unlucky woman to ever exist because father of her child gets executed. Her child gets ran over by a car. The racist CO who I guess led her child's father on his final walk, you know, they end up having sex with each other. I don't know what the fuck that shit was supposed to be about. I just it's like, hey, I'm a racist CEO, and I lose my son to suicide, and my father is also just a racist asshole. And then we got this unlucky Letitia woman. I guess we'll hook up now. I mean, yeah, I never understood that. But we also got representation in Best Supporting roles. Obviously, Louis Gossett Jr. won for Officer and a Gentleman. He played Gunnery Sergeant Emma Foley. Denzel Washington won a supporting role Oscar for playing Private Trip on Glory, which I kind of hated that character. I'm not gonna lie, but I do understand why he was the way he was. Shout out to Cuba Gooding. He won his so Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Jerry Maguire. He was the football player Rod Tidwell. Yeah. And I think he was. I'm not sure if that. Uh, I'm not sure if he still holds this record, but apparently he was the youngest. Hold on, where I just saw it. He was the youngest male actor to win an Academy Award at age 29. Oh my God, what the fuck was I doing at 29? I don't know. I think just tripping on life. Let's see. Morgan Freeman, best supporting actor for playing Eddie Scrap Iron on $1 Million Baby. Another, and those is and he was the oldest African American actor to win one at the age of 67. Yeah, and that's another movie that I'm only gonna watch once. Once you get the twist, you know, it's like, okay, that was an emotional roller coaster. And just very tragic to the people who hadn't seen it yet. I mean, you know what? I'll be nice. I won't spoil it, but you watch this movie, you're rooting for this main character, and then tragedy strikes in the most fucked up way, and you're like, "Wow, I got so emotionally invested in this movie, rooting for this woman, just for some fuck shit to happen." Like I said, it's a good film, like a very good film to watch, like for the first time. Now, as a second watch, I don't know. I may have to put myself through it, but I don't know if I can. Let me see. Let me go. Let me go through this history, man. This Black history. Okay, because this Black history. Oh my gosh, and who we? And let me tell you, Mahershala, he won for Moonlight, Best Supporting Actor. Moonlight, in which he was the first Muslim actor to win an Oscar, and the first. First Muslim, which I didn't know that. Wow, so making history twice. And he also won Best Supporting Actor for playing Don Shirley in The Green Book. I actually had the privilege of going to a museum with B and his mother up in Pittsburgh, and they talked about like the real Green Book, and ooh, it was it was it was it was kind of hard to hear just because like wow, damn, like niggas couldn't even go on vacation in peace, but it was some good history to learn and just as Afro Man said, turn a bad time into a good time. And we're gonna touch on Afro Man a little bit later, but let me keep going down this here list here. And Daniel Kaluuya, shout out to him, British actor. He received his best supporting acting that's crazy supporting actor. Wow. Um, yeah, but he won best actor in supporting role for his for playing Fred Hampton in Judas and the Black Messiah. So shout out to Daniel. Best actress, of course, Hattie McDaniel back in 1939. Well, 1940. She played Mammy, which, today most people would look at that role and be like, oh my gosh, what the hell kind of racist ass shit? Listen, all right. Back in them times, you just had to take what you could get, okay? That's why I don't really, unlike most like black people, that's why I don't really look at Stephen Fetchit. I don't really side eye Stephen Fetchit like that just because it's like, well, shit, like what else could he do back then, right? If he was to walk into that studio talking about some, I need respect. You want me to? Nah, it just wasn't in the cards back then. You know. Let me keep going down this here list, okay? And then we got 1990. Shout out to Whoopi Goldberg, won Best Supporting Actress in Ghost. I saw that movie once. Okay, it was interesting. It's just, you know, I guess just couldn't let the sometimes can't let your dead people go. And shout out to Jennifer Hudson in 2006, winning Best Supporting Actress in Dreamgirls, playing Effie White. You gonna love me? 2009. Monique wins for Precious, probably the most evil character I've ever seen Monique play ever. I don't think I've seen Precious all the way. But yeah, I may watch it again, but oh my god, it's just too much shit. The fucking like the scene that just really just made me want to get a barf bag was, I'm over here thinking, okay, yeah, Monique's character is finally understanding her effects on Precious, and we're gonna get a heart to heart. Man, let me tell you something. When that motherfucker, which I understand that shit, people do think like that, unfortunately. But man, hearing that motherfucker say, okay, but hearing that motherfucker say, she blamed Precious over the fact that her husband or baby father, whatever he was to her, like I don't think he was in the picture, but basically, look, the husband was abusing Precious in the worst way. Especially when Precious was an infant, and and basically the guy was just so savage. He was like, "Hey, yo, like, get your fat ass up," you know, and it's like the way that character interpreted those events, I almost threw up because instead of seeing it as a sick individual, you know, touching a baby, she saw it as Precious stealing her man. I was like, what? She's a baby. No baby can steal an adult man from anybody. Like, that guy was sick. Sorry for that tangent, but oh man, that scene just made my skin crawl. Um, we got Octavia Spencer for The Help playing Minnie Jackson. Eat my shit. I love that scene very much. Now, some people might call The Help a white savior movie just because Emma Stone was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna round these black women up and they're gonna tell me their story about their experiences as maids." And I had a maid that I really loved that my mom fired just because other white people peer pressured her into doing it. And I never got to see her again. You know, I mean, it's sad, I guess. I just don't, of course, 2013, Lupita Nyong'o, 12 Years a Slave, played Patsy. Now, I was a little uncomfortable watching that movie because at the time when I watched it, Lupita looked very youthful in that movie. So there was a scene where she had to like get whipped or whatever, but I think you see her breasts, and I was just like, whoa, hold on, how old is this motherfucker? Like, cause I think on the movie she was supposed to be like either a teenager or like a very young adult, but yeah, yeah, she just looked so youthful. Like I thought she was a kid, but I was like, I had to look her up. Okay, she's an adult. I guess that's cool. And of course, Viola Davis playing Rose in Fences. She won Best Supporting Actress, which she better have gotten something, man. She was very committed to that crying scene. Let me tell you. I mean, the snot, the tears. Ugh, man, shout out to her. Fences was the first movie where I ever straight up hated Denzel Washington's character because I'm like, this guy is not only a piece of shit, but he's also he's also mad hypocritical. Regina King, 2018, If Bill Street Could Talk. I never watched that, so I don't have a opinion on that movie. And Ariana DeBose, West Side Story. I guess the adaptation of West Side Story. She won Best Supporting Actress for that. Um, Davine Joy Randolph, shout out to her, won Best Supporting Actress in The Holdovers. She played Mary Lamb. I never seen that. Zoe Saldana. She played Amelia Perez. No, wait, that's the name of the movie. Amelia Perez. She played Rita Mora Castro, and she won for that. I never seen Amelia Perez. I might have to check that out. Uh, and of course, we got Peter Ramsey. He won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. All right. Shout out to you. And that was for the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was back in 2018, pre-COVID. What a time. We have, what is this? Best cinematography, Autumn Dorold Akapa. Holy shit, I fucked that up. But anyway, she was the first black woman to be nominated in the category, and she's also the first woman, period, to win in that category. So shout out to you, Autumn. Sorry for fucking your last name up. Who else? Let's see. Best costume design. Of course, we got Ruth E. Carter from 2018 for Black Panther. She won. First African American ever to win Best Costume Design, man or woman. So that's amazing. Ruth E. Carter for again, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Awesome. And she's the first African American to win any two competitive Academy Awards. And shout out to Paul Tazwell for Wicked, costume design. I never watched Wicked, not even the screenplay. I'm not saying that the shit on it. I'm just saying I just never watched it. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a movie from the perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West or something like that. I'm not sure. Sorry to all my drama kids if I grossly mishandled the synopsis. Let's see what else. We got Academy Award for Best Documentary Features. T.J. Martin for Undefeated, first African American to win in that category. So hey, congrats, buddy. Ezra Edelman, OJ Made in America. I never seen that. Never seen that movie before, but shout out to him, winner. Amir, Questlove. Okay, yeah, he won for Summer of Soul. Okay, best documentary feature. There we go, Summer of Soul, when the revolution could not be televised. Um, best documentary short subject. Roger Ross Williams, music by Prudence. That was the film. We got Chris Bowers. He won for Last Repair Shop. Okay, then we got so no black people won Academy Award for Best Film Editing yet, but we're gunning for it. No black person has won an Academy Award for Best International Film. We're coming for you. And Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Nia Neal and Jamaica Wilson. Uh, or is that just one long name? I'm not sure. But in 2020, it was for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Never saw that. Do. And what's this? Best Academy Award for Best Original Score. We got the artist formerly known as Prince winning for Purple Rain. And I ain't gonna hold you. I finally watched when I finally watched Purple Rain at an age where I could understand it. I liked the concept. It was just holy shit. He was just so bad at acting. I just couldn't take it seriously. Uh, Herbie Hancock back in 1986, he won for Around Midnight. He was the first African American winner of a Best Original Score. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you, Herbie. And John Batiste for Soul. I believe is that animated movie that I've never seen yet? Probably. But yeah, man, shout out to him, man. Best original song. Isaac Hayes for Shaft. Shaft. 1983, Irene Cara for Flashdance. What a feeling. Stevie Wonder for the film Woman in Red, the song I Just Called to Say I Love You. And Lionel Richie for the film White Knights, Say You, Say Me. Awesome sauce, Lionel. And one of my favorites, you got to give it up to the GOATs, baby. Frazier Boy, Juicy J, and DJ Paul of 3-6 Mafia for the film Hustle and Flow. Hard out here for a pimp. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The first African American rappers to win an Academy Award. Unfortunately, they're not the first rappers ever. You got to give that to Eminem, but they're the first black rappers to win an Academy Award. Suck it, New York. The South rises. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. And also, yeah, they're my favorites. And we got Common and John Legend for the song Glory for the movie Selma. Shout out to them guys. Then we got her, Demile and Tierra Thomas for Fight for You on Judas and the Black Messiah. Shout out to them. And Best Picture, Steve McQueen. He won Best Picture for 12 Years a Slave. I mean, it's kind of sucks that it had to be a slavery, black trauma movie, but I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? I'm done with those kinds of movies, to be honest, but I'll fucking take it. And of course, Academy Award Best Production Design, Hannah Beachler for Black Panther. Shout out to Black Panther scraping these awards up. And Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. I went through that already. And Best Live Action Short Film, James Lucas for The Phone Call. That was back in 2014. Never seen it. And back in 2020, Trevon Free for Two Distant Strangers. Never saw that either. But apparently, they are the first African American to win this category. Best Sound, 1988 for the movie Bird. It was Willie D. Burton. Shout out to you. I don't know who you are. But for Bird, Glory, no, no, for just the movie Bird. For the movie Glory, it was Russell Williams, and he also won Best Sound for Dances with Wolves. I never seen Dances with Wolves. Willie D. Burton again for Dreamgirls. For your Dreamgirls. All right, and I think I'm almost done with this list of just celebrating just black winners, and also shout out to the nominated, but we'll be here all day. Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. We got Jeffrey Fletcher for Precious, because it was adapted from Push by Sapphire. First African American to win a Screenplay Academy Award for that. John Ridley, 2013, 12 Years a Slave. I didn't know that was a book. Barry Jenkins, Terrell Alvin McCraney for Moonlight. In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. That was the book that the movie was based on. Never read it. I ain't even seen the movie yet. I'm terrible. And I did not know Black Klansman was a book as well. So shout out to Kevin Wilmot and Spike Lee. 2023, Cord Jefferson for American Fiction, but the book was called Erasure. Interestingly. And of course, Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler, as I mentioned earlier, for Best Writing. So yeah, man, like I said, my personal opinion when it comes to the diversity rules, I mean, it's not popular, but at the same time, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? It's just my thing is just like, wait, so you just gonna say a movie is not good just because there's certain people not working there? But as I said, that's the choice of the organization, not you know no one else. and and if it makes sure that underrepresented people get jobs in this industry, then so be it. Um, and shout out to all the African Americans who've won anything in the Academy Awards, getting their representations. You know, like I said, as Issa Rae said, shout out to everybody black. Uh, Now, my last thing I'm gonna cover before I let y'all go. So Afro Man today won a defamation lawsuit against him by some Ohio County sheriff's deputies. So I want to say back in 2022, his home was raided. His Ohio home was raided. To no avail. It was under, I guess they had a warrant under suspicion that he was drug trafficking, which they found nothing. They were brandishing guns, the huge. I think they took like 5 grand, which I don't know why. So, as payback, Afro Man just made like a series of like songs and videos just straight mocking them. So I guess they did not like the mockery, so those officers decided to sue him for defamation, and I think the damages was like $3.9 million. But the jury agreed with Afro Man because obviously it's First Amendment, right? Like what the fuck? Like, yes, I can mock you if I want to. The hell. And and I haven't seen any of the footage. I mean the footage. I haven't seen any of the content he made again, which I did not know he was going through it. I was looking through social media and I see Afro Man in this American flag suit, and I'm like, what's going on? And so I watched, one of the cross examinings, and yeah, he was holding his ground. Like, I mean, was it fair for y'all to be, because one of the officers talking about, oh, I was distressed. But I'm like, okay, well, and he was like, well, okay, I was distressed too when y'all came in with guns and stuff, like having to look. Now I don't know if he was actually there or if he was looking at it through like his home surveillance. But anywho, shout out to Afro Man for literally sticking it to the man, and that's a shame, right? Like you can't even mock. It's totally legal. You can mock what happened. You can make jokes about what happened. But but for them to actually think that they had a case, yeah, that was wild. Also, isn't that part? Doesn't that come with the job? Unfortunately, I mean, listen, in a perfect world, well, ain't nobody's gonna mock people doing their jobs. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. You did your job poorly, and Afro Man made fun of you. So, all right, man, that's my rambles. Shout out to Michael B. Shout out to Ryan Coogler this year, man. Doing big things with the Oscars. Also, I believe they won the BAFTAs as well. I'm gonna do more looking into Oscars diversity requirements, but like I said, I did remember hearing about the BAFTAs having it some years ago. Anyway, stay groovy, as my little cousin would say. B couldn't make it. And shout out to Folkland Los, another third of the SOS podcast. Also, shout out to the Raw Recovery community that's hosted by our sister, Danielle Shields, and the What They Want podcast, hosted by Slick and Big John. That's on Fridays at 9. All right, everybody. This is Tenzin, and I'm out this motherfucker. I'm actually about to press in stream, which I'm not gonna be out right away. Like, kind of